So in this segment, we're going to be talking about Labour scaling back their Brexit trade renegotiation plan after EU snub. So this was based around the kind of the revision process for the trade and cooperation agreement. It's not really a revision, it's just a review, a technical review. If there's anything they want to be changed or implemented better, that's kind of what it would be, but it's not meant to be a full-scale change. I know some people have talked up the idea that, there's going to be a new EU Commission, but by the time Labour come in, and that's really going to make a big change. It's like the EU Commission work on behalf of member states. So if it's clear now that the EU aren't going to back any major changes, and it's going to be a review process, unless we see a massive overhaul of the majority of EU leaders, which we're not going to see, nothing changes there. Like, there's a fundamental failure for people to understand how the EU works. The Commission works on behalf of member states. So if the idea that change Commission will change the EU stance on things, it doesn't really exist, especially when no one in the EU is really talking about massive changes anyways. And this whole idea of we need to build momentum into it, once Labour start talking about changes, things will change and blah, blah, blah. Like, okay, Labour have consistently talked about reviewing and changing bits of the trade and cooperation agreement. The EU have consistently said no. People are trying to act like this is some sort of stance the EU are taking. It's not really true. Maybe people need to stop the Machiavellian games here and actually really think about things. If politicians are saying certain things are not going to happen, it's not because they're starting from that position, from a negotiating point of view. It might be the case that certain things just not going to happen, and people need to accept that. This from the Telegraph, so we need to be a bit wary of it. But there seems to be some sort of links with this paper and the Labour Party in terms of briefings. So Labour scaled back plans for a quick renegotiation of the Brexit trade deal after it's snubbed by the European Union, which obviously this was never on the table anyways. This is just a technical review. EU sources said that he was now talking about a more realistic approach after Brussels warned him it would not reopen the agreement. The Labour leader has criticised the 2019 deal for being too thin. In September, Starmer talked up a plan review of how the pact is working, scheduled to take place. Planned a review of how the pact is working, scheduled to take place in 25. He told the FT, as we go into 2025, we'll attempt to get a much better deal for the UK. I think there's more that can be achieved across the board, end quote. And so we can gather this is really not going to happen. Starmer wants to secure improvements that would ease red tape for British food exporters, which all makes sense. The Commission has privately warned him that that it is broadly happy with the agreement, as no intention of reopening the terms of it. In terms of what has been offered previously, dynamic alignment was offered. That was kind of before the before the Windsor framework. The UK want equivalency. That was declined by the EU under Lord Frost. And I think that will continue to be the EU stance because they've explained why equivalency would not work for them. EU insiders told the Telegraph that senior Labour figures have accepted in recent talks that a major renegotiation will not take place in 25. What Labour's done is they've tried to understand better what's in the realm of the possible. There is no appetite whatsoever among the member states to reopen the agreement. Labour now understands how all this works. They've learnt more and corrected. Now, hopefully, those same commentators learn more and correct their position, although I doubt they will. An EU diplomat echoed, nobody's talking about completely changing the relationship when the deal comes up for review. So it's very clear that EU have been very consistent on this point. A diplomat warned Starmer's pledge to secure a veterinary agreement to slash red tape on food may prove difficult to negotiate. The problem you'll immediately come up against is dynamic alignment, they warned, adding that improvements to the relationship will not be immediate. Unrealistic and doomed to fail. In an interview with The Sun, Starmer did not mention the review when grilled for his plans on improved relations with the EU. He says, I still think we can get a better deal. I think we should be able to trade more freely with Europe. I mean, sure, you can think these things and they might think other things, which is the more likely thing to happen. Senior figures hope such an agreement would kick off a longer realignment that would pave the way for improvements for the trading relationship. And, the idea that the UK can kind of pair this with security talks when it's very clear the EU are taking security more into their own hands than they have ever before, with even Germany waking up on this. The UK being in a very weak military position here. There was a report that came out recently at the House of Commons that said we would only last 2 months against a near pure adversary. This idea that the UK could be massively beneficial in a security agreement only goes so far as the fact that we're in the Five Eyes agreement, and that's about it. We're not doing too great. We are kind of being hacked consistently by foreign nations as well. We are a laundromat for foreign nations to launder money. Are we that much of a big... would we be that beneficial to such agreements? I don't know. But, it's very clear that the EU's view on this is nobody's talking about a trade agreement, kind of a massive review on trade. One diplomat said no one is thinking about a returns agreement, neither the EU nor the national government. It's not on the cards, and Labour knows that. And the Conservative government have tried that with France. France have said consistently, it's up to the EU to negotiate that. Then the EU turned around and said, it's up to France if they want to do that. And so they're kind of hiding behind each other in a sense, because they don't want to tell the UK the ugly truth of, no, we're not doing a returns agreement, get lost. They're a bit more diplomatic than that, but it's very clear from this article that the kind of this idea that Labour can get some massive changes done for trade deal is simply dead, and it's about time. I think other commentators in the space finally accept that it's dead. Your boy can't do it. He's a knight of the realm, but that realm extends only really to the United Kingdom. He's not going to get the changes he wants in Europe. But anyways, I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Support the channel on Patreon if you can, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.